Hey gang, Sally here. Hope you're having an amazing and fascinating day. I know I am. Where's my kit? Where is he? There he is. Where's the kit still? Yeah, he wasn't feeling real good last night. He was feeling pretty punky. In fact, he didn't eat his dinner. Actually, he didn't even eat breakfast. He didn't eat anything until very late last night. In fact, when I was already asleep. But he seems to be fine today, so good news for that. But that's not what this video is about. This is a cooking video, and I'm going to kind of do the Stephen Covey thing, and I'm going to begin with the end in mind. So I'm going to share with you the lessons learned in this introduction so that you can keep this in mind as you watch me actually go through this video. So what are we cooking in this video? We're making bagels. My mind is blown by this, guys. It really is, and they were really good. Well, I've only had one so far. I saw on Instagram a 4 ingredient bagel recipe, and I decided I had to try it because I had everything on hand that I needed for it. And I, of course, turned it into more like 7 ingredients, but still pretty simple, pretty easy, and really happy with the outcome overall. So when I talk about, I initially put it in the air fryer on bake for 25 minutes at 375. I turned the bagels upside down for the last 2 minutes. I think I should have turned them sooner. Probably should have turned them. I don't know exactly when. I think when I do this the next time, what I'll do is I'll open the air fryer and I'll look, and if the top seems like it's getting, solidified, if it's an actual solid surface, I'll turn them at that point, cook the bottoms for a while, and then flip them back over near the end. I think that the bottoms needed more than 2 minutes because when I when the timer went off, they were still kind of wet on the bottom. So I flipped them upside down. I put it on air fry at 400 for 3 more minutes, and that was perfect. So that's a way to get around it. But I think turning them in the bake cycle sooner would have solved that whole issue. Super simple, really fun, really delicious, and I mean it's yogurt and flour. It doesn't taste like yogurt. It tastes like a bagel. So really, really enjoyed doing that. I hope you enjoy the video. As always, thanks for coming along. If you haven't already, please do consider subscribing. If you think you are, double check to make sure. And of course, thumbs up, comments, always appreciated. Let's roll the intro and we're going to get right into bagel making in my tiny RV kitchen. And so, what is this? Well, anybody that spends any time on Instagram has been seeing all of these like 3 ingredient brownies and all this stuff coming on lately. I saw one today that was being advertised as 4 ingredient bagels, and I happen to have all 4 ingredients. I'm turning it into slightly more ingredients than that because that's just the way I roll. So what I've got so far is a little over a quarter cup of white flour and a little over a quarter cup of dark rye flour. The recipe I saw said, and to make 4 bagels, that's what we're making. To make 4, you use a cup of flour total. I'm using a little over a half a cup. And I need to add about a teaspoon of baking powder. And you already know I never measure anything, so it's going to be about a teaspoon. So a teaspoon of baking powder and about a half a teaspoon of salt. And general principles for baking is you always mix your dry ingredients together separate from your wet ingredients. So I got about a half a teaspoon there of salt. And you do that so that they get completely incorporated, and then you add your wet ingredients to them. So I'm actually going to just use my finger here so that I dirty as few implements as possible, and we're going to see how this works out. So if we were doing this according to the recipe that I saw, it would be 1 cup of flour to 1 cup of Greek yogurt, a teaspoon of salt, and 2 teaspoons of baking powder. But I'm making half the recipe because they say that one makes 4 bagels. I can't fit 4 in the air fryer at once, nor do I really need to have 4 bagels around here. So we're going to try this. I got to stir my yogurt up a little bit. It's separated a little. So we're going to try this and just make 2. And we're going to see how this works out. Hopefully well. All right, so we need about a 1/2 cup of Greek yogurt. And I don't have any baking type cup measures anymore. That's probably a little bit too much. So I'm just faking it. And in part, I do this so that you can see, I need some light so I can see, that it doesn't really have to be precise. And the brilliant thing that I did, which is not all that brilliant apparently, is I put my cutting board down on top of my stove so I'd make less mess on my stove. And I guess I'm making less mess, but I'm still making a mess. I'm also going to add some pumpkin pie spice to our dry ingredients here. I'm going to put in about a teaspoon, I think. So these are going to be pumpkin rye bagels with raisins. And my raisins were a little dry, so I'm soaking them in some water right now. Let's talk about these little cups while we're at it. So I love these things. So this is my own pumpkin pie spice that I make from mixing up all the appropriate ingredients. And I just store it in this little plastic container with a lid. I get these at Walmart. I think they come 50 in a package. Here, let me grab the package and I'll show you. I think it's 50 in a package for something like, I want to say $3. Might be closer to $4 now. But I use these for all kinds of things, like making spice mixes, like mixing up salad dressing when I'm making a salad. It's great for that, because then I don't have any mess to clean up behind. And this way, you know, I've got water in with my raisins, and I don't have to worry about knocking into it and making a mess on the counter. So there's that. All right, let's stir in our pumpkin pie spice. And we're going to go ahead and add in our yogurt. Now, from everything I saw, it said that this recipe is supposed to be sticky. So I'm sure it will be. And we're going to just kind of stir this in. And then once we get it all mixed up, we're going to kind of form it into a ball and then split it into 2 pieces. And then make those into bagel shapes. Now, I have a convection oven, so I could do it in the oven, but I'm going to do it in the air fryer. Just because overall it uses less energy. It doesn't heat the entire house up, although it's fairly chilly today. I think it might be 60 degrees out now. I haven't looked for a while. When I took Kit for his walk this morning, and we didn't leave until 9:30, it was like, I'm going to say 52 degrees, I think. And I went out wearing shorts. Now, I did have a decent weight top on, shirt jacket thing, but still. All right, and I'm going to say this doesn't seem quite as wet as I think it should be. And part of that is probably because I used rye flour as well. So let's get all of the yogurt out of here. And I might even end up adding just a little bit more from the container, from the yogurt container. Let's see what this feels like. Yeah, that's not wet enough. So let's get a spoon and throw in a little more, because it is better to have it start off too dry than too wet. Because if it's too wet to begin with, then you have to kind of add everything to get it back to the right consistency. I don't want to get carried away here, but I think that looks about right. I'm going to leave the spoon in the container, just in case. And part of the reason I show you everything, guys, like this, is so that those who may be intimidated won't be. Because cooking in general Doesn't need to be that difficult. And you may have heard me say before that I don't measure in general, but you really should measure well for baking. Well, I didn't do that. I'm faking it. And this still feels a little too dry to me. I think I actually ended up with more flour than I thought I did, since I don't have a flour measurement tool. Yeah, that's looking better. Yeah, you could do this with a mixer if you had one. I don't have one. I have a blender, but I don't want to make that mess. This is starting to feel like it's about right. Okay, now, you do have to kind of knead this dough. And so, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a piece of parchment paper to put on my cutting board so that I'm not going to have a sticky mess on there to clean up. And I'm going to put gloves on my hands so that I won't have to use too much water to clean my hands up. So I'll be right back with you. Okay, and we're back. I decided to go ahead and get the air fryer out while I was at it, and managed to knock it onto the floor and broke the handle off of it. So hopefully, I mean, I'm sure it'll still work. Hopefully I'm not going to burn myself along the way. I'm just draining the raisins and putting them in. I'm going to go ahead and kind of mix them in with my hand. And this dough is supposed to feel wet, and now it does, because the water from the raisins kind of helped that along. So let's get most of the dough out of the bowl, and in fact, see if I can scrape out some more. I think my measurements are pretty far off. You might want to measure a little bit more closely if you're trying to get an exact result. Obviously, I didn't do that. Alright, so I'm mixing my raisins in, kind of forming this into a ball. Kind of want to get my raisins more evenly distributed. We'll see how that works out. And then I'm going to just flatten this out a little bit and kind of divide it in half. Now I'm going to attempt to make something that sort of looks like a bagel. So again, I'm going to roll it into a ball, flatten it out, poke a hole in the middle, just like that. That's pretty good. See how we go with this one. All right, now let's get this one off. I'm going to get the basket for the air fryer that they're going to go into. And I don't know that I need to do this, but I'm gonna, just cause. That is, I got the dropsies today, guys. I'm gonna spray them with a little olive oil spray. So let's see if I can Get this off of here, transferred into there. All right, I'm gonna spray a little on top. Now, we gotta get the air fryer out. Let me clean up this mess a little bit, get the air fryer heated up, and then we're gonna throw them right in there. Okay, so I've got the air fryer set up on the counter here. Fortunately, it still works after being dropped. At least apparently it turned on. But now there's no handle here. Now the handle's here. I think I might be able to glue it back on, I'm hoping. We'll find out. I didn't want to find out. Yeah, I didn't want to do it now. So we're going to let this heat up, and then we're going to drop our basket in with our bagels ready to go. And we're heating it up to 375 degrees. We're going to cook them for about 25 minutes. So I'll take a look about halfway through and see how they're looking at that point. But yeah, it's an interesting experiment. I have no idea if it'll work or not. Go ahead and pause the video right now. Leave a comment down below. Do you think it worked? Yes or no? Let me know. Okay, here we go. I just pulled the basket out after it preheated with my bare finger, but I have a feeling that's probably not going to be my best choice after 25 minutes in the air fryer. We'll find out. Okay, so nothing for you to do. I'm not going to make you wait through 25 minutes of agony. It will be the magic of editing. We'll get back to you. Okay, and we're back. The good news is I can actually open up the air fryer with 2 fingers. So I did it in the air fryer at 375 for 25 minutes, and at 23 minutes I checked it. They're quite brown. They're probably a little bit browner than I might want them to be, but the bottoms were still pretty wet. So I flipped them over, and then I did them for 3 more minutes on air fry at 400 degrees to get the bottoms crispy-ish. And they seem like they're done. I think they're going to be good. So we're going to give them just a minute or two to cool off, and then we're going to check them out and give them a try. Okay, I split one in half. It feels pretty bagel-like inside. And I'm going to put butter on one half. And I'm going to put almond butter on the other half. And I'm going to save the second one, I think, to have with my breakfast tomorrow. So let's butter it up. And you can use all kinds of toppings. I got to tell you, smelling the pumpkin pie spice mix while I was baking was pretty amazing. So you can do all kinds of different things. You know, you can do everything bagel seasoning. That would work. I think that's going to be way plenty almond butter. Spread that around a little. And by the way, this is the almond butter I put in a video. I'll put a link to that here, where I talk about reading the labels for the ingredients, not just nutrition labels, to find out what's really in it, because you can make big mistakes that way. All right, let's give this a go. I gotta say, that tastes like a bagel. Doesn't taste like yogurt. Just a hint of the pumpkin pie spice. I probably could have done a little bit more. But daggone, guys, that's pretty good and comparatively easy. Especially since it was all stuff I had on hand. All right, as always, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you hanging out. Let me know if you're going to give this recipe a try. I think you should. I'd recommend it. All right, we'll see you next time. Bye for now.